Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a fun one because my newborn must-haves video is by far like my most viewed video on this channel. And now I'm a second-time mom and I can confidently say these are my newborn must-haves. So newborn must-have number one, by far, like hands down, is my absolute must-have for newborns is the Doona. You've probably heard me talk about this so many times. I post about it on my Instagram, and I promise they don't sponsor me. I wish they would, honestly, because I love their products so much. But the Doona is by far the best product you can buy for your baby, and I'll tell you why. A lot of people are always like, it's kind of pricey and stuff, but you guys think about this. It is a newborn car seat and a stroller in one. And the Doona is going to last you for a while. It's meant for newborns, but we used it all the way up to till Nikosh was like 2 years old. It's exactly what we're using right now for Isla. She's 4 months old now, and she is, totally fine in the Doona, and it's exactly what we end up using like all the time. And as an added bonus, what it's meant to be is a travel car seat. So we take it with us everywhere. So it is just so reliable, and the Doona really, it just makes your life so much easier as a new parent. So the problem I found with infant car seats is that you have to still take them out and carry them around if you're gonna use that. And it can get kind of heavy and bulky and it's just uncomfortable. It's a very convenient thing to be able to take it in and out and stuff, but I absolutely hated it. Whereas with the Doona, when you take it out of the car, it's the same thing. You take it in and out of the car, but you then turn it into a stroller. So it's so much easier to push around and everything. It comes with a base, and you can buy several bases. Like if you want a base in your husband's car or something like that, it comes with a base that you just leave in the car, use the anchors to clip it in, and then you can just put your baby in and out really easily. It also has a function where you can use a seatbelt to clip it into a car. So if you need to take an Uber or a taxi or something like that, you can also use that car seat, which I find to be very, very helpful when you're traveling. I remember my nanny was so sad when I was like, he's too big for this now, we can't use it anymore, because it was just so convenient for her to pop him into her car and go run an errand, or pop him into her car, go pick up her own daughter, things like that. Whenever she just needed to give me an extra hand, it was so much easier. It made our lives easier, and it made traveling so much easier. It really did. Newborn must-have number two is actually a very reasonably priced product. It is the Boppy Lounger. I use this product with both of my children, and it's actually one of my favorite baby shower gifts because everybody can use it. It's essentially like this very perfectly made cushion for your baby to hang out with you on the sofa. We had a Snuggle Me as well, and we still have a Snuggle Me, and while you can lay your baby in it while you're on the sofa and stuff, I just find that both of my babies and all of the babies of friends and family who I've suggested this Boppy Lounger to, they've all loved the Boppy Lounger on the sofa, especially because it kind of elevates your baby, so they get to feel like they're hanging out with you instead of just laying flat. And what I find is sometimes when your baby just wants to be social, which happens early, you guys. Isla she's already a very social baby. She was social from her first month. When she turned a month old, she was a very social baby already and wanted you to talk to her and everything. She wanted to be able to observe stuff. And so she absolutely hated being laid in the Snuggle Me because she felt like we were trying to make her go to sleep or something. Whereas when we put her in the Boppy Lounger, she gets to hang out there and look at us and stuff, and she's so much happier. Nikosh also absolutely loved it. It was same with him. He just wanted to hang out and be social. He was actually a much more casual daytime sleeper, so he would take naps in it, which it says you're not supposed to, but I was obviously always with him when he would fall asleep and take a nap next to me, and I would just leave him there, and I would be on my computer doing some work or watching TV and stuff, and it was so nice to just be able to literally have him lounge next to me. And this kind of leads into a little bit of a theme here for my next two. So these three must-haves all have one theme, and that's places to leave your baby. So essentially you need stuff to be able to put your baby in, because you can't possibly hold them all the time. You need to have your arms free at some point. You need to be able to eat. You need to be able to, just go to the bathroom, anything, right? So you need to be able to free yourself at some point, especially if you're by yourself. And so Boppy Lounger is one of those items that helps you. I feel like Boppy Lounger, I didn't use it until my babies were about 2 weeks old or something, just because it feels, I had small babies though, so keep that in mind. It felt a little massive for them, and then they gained a little bit of weight and then suddenly it felt perfect for them. The next thing that I swear by and both of my babies loved, and I say both of my babies, and that's because babies are very different, each baby, and whenever I talk to people about items that they swore by, I'll talk to other people and they're like, no, that didn't work for us. And we had kind of the same experience with a lot of like must-have baby items. But these that I'm talking to you about, both of my babies loved, and for the most part when I talk to people, their babies love these things too. So the next item is called the Baby Bjorn Bouncer. It's not cheap, you guys. You can find other bouncers that are very similar to this. This just happened to be one that we got with Nikosh. It was on our registry, so somebody bought it for us very kindly, and it's great to have. What I use the Baby Bjorn Bouncer for is, again, your baby sometimes wants to be social, but they also want to be like rocked and they want to be able to like fall asleep and take naps and stuff, and sometimes they need your help for that. They need to have like something that's gonna like coax them to sleep, you know? So again, you want your hands free, and what I love about the bouncer is that I can put the baby in the bouncer and use my foot to bounce the baby. So if like the boppy lounger's not working anymore because they're not being chill and they want somebody to soothe them, then you can put them in this and you use it. Like you can use your foot, you can use your hand, it doesn't matter. You know, like I'm eating food at the dinner table or something, I'll put the baby on the floor next to me and I'll just like rock the baby with my foot. And it just has been so helpful. It helped me like that the first time around with Nikosh, and it's helped me the second time around. And like I said, there are other options that are very similar to it. It's really just the concept of that, of having a bouncer for your baby that you can put next to your foot and you can do stuff. I even have a video on this channel where it looks like I'm like jittering and stuff, and it's because during the filming of that entire video, I was bouncing my baby with my foot. Next newborn must-have is one of those Fisher-Price swings. And again, it's one of those where it's like, it doesn't really matter which brand it is. These just happen to be the brands that I am using and I used. So we got this swing for Nikosh and we got this swing for Isla. And we've suggested this swing to friends. It was suggested to us by friends. This is by far the swing where like when you can't get your baby to fall asleep in the newborn stage, especially when it's like really hard to figure out what it is that they want. This is the swing that I find has been the most helpful. But again, during the day, your newborn, your infant, they just need to sleep so much during the day. And this is a great way to help them fall asleep, because we've just found that that swinging motion just really helps to soothe them. And again, they need that help. They need help to be soothed to sleep. I'm kind of going in the order of like things you need as they need to fall asleep, because that's the way it goes. So it's like boppy lounger if they want to hang out with you, and they're being chill. And then you go into the baby bouncer if they want to hang out with you, but maybe they're starting to not be that chill. And then you can like soothe them by rocking them with your foot. And then you go into like the actual swing because they want to actually take a nap, and you need something like that where they want to fall asleep and you still need to watch them and everything, but you need to do things with your hands. The swing is kind of like almost hands down the one that's going to help get your baby to sleep. And then the next must-have is to have some sort of baby carrier. That's kind of like the last defense when you still need your hands free and your baby is just being really, really fussy. You've gone from like the boppy lounger all the way to the swing and none of them have worked, because sometimes that happens too. You need some kind of carrier, like something that's gonna help your baby be close to you. So my favorites for newborns are the ring slings. They're actually great for toddlers too. I love the ring sling because once you get the hang of it, you have to kind of like learn how to do it, and it can be very intimidating. And I actually highly recommend that you get somebody to show you how to do it who has been using it, or at least watch some YouTube videos, because once you get the hang of it, it is the best thing, because you can actually like lay your baby in it like a hammock. And that's how I used it with Isla in the beginning, where you're just they're kind of like just sleeping, but they're really close to you. They can still like feel your warmth. They can hear your heart beating, all of that kind of stuff. And you can like hold them a little bit, or you can like let them go and use your hands, eat, anything like that. And then as they start to become a little bit bigger, you can have them sitting up. They can be like against your chest or something. And you know, like they can take a nap, you can feed them in it. It's just really helpful. I don't feel like I go completely hands-free with the ring sling, but I definitely feel like it helps relieve all of that, and it helps you like not have to, you know, just have both of your hands completely taken. So that's also very helpful, especially in the newborn phase, because you know you have to hold the baby's head up and stuff, and you have to be very mindful of that. So the ring sling really helps you. Next, whenever people are asking like if you want clothing, and I know it's very tempting to want to like buy a ton of clothing for your baby, but it is confirmed with my second one, all you need are some onesies. Truly, truly, all you need are some onesies for your baby. I talk to people all the time, and I had comments on my last video of newborn must-haves too, where they're like, I love to dress up my baby and make her look cute, or make him look cute and wear shoes and all that kind of stuff. And I just don't understand that whatsoever, because newborns, like they're like blowing out the back of their onesies and their diapers and stuff and getting poop everywhere. They just want to be comfortable, you know, like you're trying to, you know, constantly change them and stuff. So for me, the key is a onesie. And in my last video, I said it was all about the zip up onesies, and I still actually stand by that. Zip up onesies are awesome. But back then, what did not exist were the Magnetic Me onesies, and I swear now by the Magnetic Me onesies. My mother-in-law bought me 2 of them, and my sister-in-law had actually told me about them too. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. It sounds like that might, like, I don't know, like, will those really work? That sounds almost like too good to be true, but it's absolutely true. These onesies are awesome. They literally like come apart with a magnet and go right back together with a magnet. So it's so quick and easy. And especially in the middle of the night when you're changing baby's diaper and stuff and it's kind of dark and everything, it's just so much easier to get your baby in and out of that onesie. And they have a lot of onesies that come with like the cover for the hands and stuff, which I know a lot of people recommend, you know, like a baby nail clipper and stuff. But I'm telling you guys, I have yet to find anybody who has cut their baby's nails like in that first month of a newborn stage, because you're so scared, they're so fragile, and you like just don't want to use nail clippers on them, and those nail file things are so much more work. You know, it's just best to get these onesies. I got 6 of them in total, and that's all I've truly needed. Like now that Isla's gotten a little bit bigger and she's like 4 or 5 months, I'm starting to play around with like other outfits, but you know, like any outfit that somebody bought her that was really, really cutesy for like months like 1 and 2, I put her in it for like a picture, and that was it. Like she didn't go out in that, she didn't, you know, we're just not having her hang out in these cutesy outfits. We're having her hang out in onesies because it's so much easier for us, because she's sleeping most of the time. And then speaking of stuff like, I guess similar to the clothing is, you know, you just need a few swaddles and you need a few burp bibs. Those are like 2 things that are just kind of like multi-functional items to have. Swaddles are great because if you actually know how to swaddle your baby, you know, you can use them for what their actual purpose is, but then you can also use them for lots of other things. You can use them to cover your stroller, cover the car seat if it's like too much sun in the baby's face or something, or they're napping. You can use them to like make a soft space, or like to protect your sofa if you put the baby down and you just don't want them to spit up or anything, or have a blowout on your sofa. The swaddles are very, very useful. And I just love the Aiden and Anai ones. They're my absolute favorite brand when it comes to that stuff. I love the material. Same with the burp bibs. I love the burp bibs because, again, they're multifunctional. When they turn 6 months and older, you can start to use it as an actual bib on them. And so we're still using some of the burp bibs that we bought for Nikosh. When he's eating something messy, like maybe soup or something, or like spaghetti, we still throw a burp bib on him because it's very helpful. My next newborn must-have is the Miku camera. The reason why I love this camera is because I had told you guys about another camera in my other newborn must-haves video, and that camera became like the bane of my existence. It was so like finicky, and you know, like even though we actually used it for 2 years, it would like break all the time. We'd have to Google like what's wrong with this thing and stuff, and it just wasn't very sophisticated, whereas the Miku is very sophisticated. First off, it uses an app that's on our phone. We can put it on our tablets also, like we have it on our iPad. And my husband and I just share the login for it. It has all the functions that you would expect from a camera for your baby's room. It's one of those things where you can like hear the baby, you can watch your baby, you can zoom in on your baby, all of that kind of stuff. But it goes a step further, and it also tracks your baby's like heart rate, and if they're breathing, and if there's movement and stuff. If there's no movement from your baby whatsoever, it actually sets an alarm. Speaking of the Miku camera, we had to break for a second because it alerted me that my little baby was waking up, so I went and got it. I went and got her, and she's sad. She's sad that I actually took her from her sleep. Anyway, so Miku camera, what I love about it is that it's just a much more advanced camera for your baby. A lot of the time when you have a newborn, especially when I had my first baby, I was so worried about like whether he was breathing or not, and I was so scared about SIDS and all that kind of stuff. You just have all this anxiety when you have a newborn that you bring home from the hospital, and that camera is just very helpful. It helps to ease all of that like anxiety that you have and everything. I wish it had its own like little separate piece so you could have it on your app, but you could also like use this, you know, like use a little device if you wanted to just like hand it to the babysitter or something like that and not have to leave an iPad with them or something. But it's like a very minor detail. Otherwise, it's a very nice camera. And I think there are other cameras that do similar things to this camera. This just happens to be the one that I got. I really like it. I highly recommend it. You can actually buy a stand for it too, so that you don't have to like put screws in the wall, which we got the stand after we had already put some screws in the wall, but I think I like the stand better because then you can also remove the camera and take it with you when you travel, which is also a big deal, so that you always have your camera and you always have it on your app. The next item is the Hatch Baby changing pad and scale, basically. So it's the reason why I like it is because it is a scale. Again, this is another one of those like cool technology, innovative products for your baby that I got this time. And again, I think there are other products that are similar to it, but again, this is the one that I got and I really, really like it. So essentially it's a changing pad, which you need a changing table for your baby. There are very inexpensive ones, and then there's this one, it's a little bit more expensive, but I love what it does. It weighs your baby for you. And so you can keep track of your baby's weight on an app also on your phone. The way it works is you don't have to put like a changing cover on it or anything like that. It's like a very easily wipeable material that the pad is made of, and you put your baby on it. You have to make sure there's nothing on the pad when you're gonna weigh your baby, and then you open the app up and you just make sure that, you know, that it's set to 0 first, and then you put your baby on it. You have to take your baby's clothing off, which I won't show you guys in the video with her clothing off, just because it's the internet. You guys get the point. It's like you put your baby on the changing table naked. It'll weigh your baby on the app, and then it records the weight. So you have like exact times and dates and stuff. And the reason why I put this into a must-have for your baby is because when you first have a newborn baby, and especially if you're trying to breastfeed, you're very like concerned with their weight. They lose a little bit of weight in the beginning after they've been born. You want to see how fast they're gaining weight and stuff. And then when you're breastfeeding, it's really helpful to like weigh them right before you breastfeed and then weigh them afterwards to make sure that they are actually eating, because sometimes you don't know in the beginning since you're not using bottles and stuff. So it's very nice to like ease your mind that your baby is gaining proper weight and stuff. Now, you know, that she's like 4 months, I'm like not weighing her as much because I'm not as concerned with it. But that first month and a half, I was weighing her like every other day, and it was just nice. It was like nice to know that she was growing and I was feeding her enough and stuff. Next up is bottles, and I highly recommend the Komotomo bottles. They're what I used for Nikosh. I just think that they're very nice looking, honestly, but they also are just very like nice to hold and stuff. I felt like, you know, they're trying to mimic the shape of like a boob sort of, and I felt like Nikosh really took to those well. We used those for Isla in the very beginning, but she's starting to become a little bit picky, so I think my tip more so is not the type of bottle that you use, it's to know that you should obviously definitely get bottles. I think you should introduce a bottle pretty quickly in, even if you are breastfeeding, because you want your baby to get used to being able to feed on your boob and on the and with the bottle. That way you have some freedom, even if it's just letting your husband or, you know, somebody else like a grandparent or something feed your baby, even one feeding for you to relieve you. I think it's important to offer a bottle fairly early in, and some people will say that there's like nipple confusion and stuff. I haven't experienced that, and I don't know anybody else who's experienced that. I've met babies that have nipple preference, that's for sure, but not confusion. But I think definitely have bottles and be open to trying bottles, because your baby, like Isla right now, might have preference of how the bottle is, you know, like she might like a bottle that, you know, like we were trying these other ones, like the Tommy Tippy ones or something like that, and they, you know, we're trying the ones that are like anti-colic, like they try not to get any air in them. I think she likes those, but she also used the Komotomos. So I think it's just being like open to what bottles they are, but I definitely think bottles are a must-have. One of the things that I learned with Nikosh was that cradle cap is real, and it's very challenging, and it looks very painful, even though it might not be, but it's just very ugly to look at on your baby. Even though most babies tend to get it, it's very common among babies. The cradle cap, if you don't know, is when they're like about a couple weeks old, maybe even a month old, they start to get this like crustiness like around their head and stuff, and sometimes in their brows, and nobody had told me about that. And so it gets really like annoying to try to get off of your baby, because it starts to crust over, even like it can start to like go down their forehead and stuff, and it's just bad. It looks like it could be very, very painful, and it's just, you know, it's ugly to look at. So a tip that a doula gave me was that when your baby is born and you start to give your baby baths, to get a little scalp scrubby, like a little soft brush, and to scrub the top of their heads like every bath, when you wash their hair and stuff, make sure you use the little brush and brush their heads and they won't get cradle cap. And she was absolutely right. I did that with Isla this time around, and she did not get cradle cap on her head, but I skipped her eyebrows and she got cradle cap all right here in her eyebrows, which was annoying to me because I of course should have thought about that because that's technically hair there too. So scrub their heads, scrub a little bit on their brows, and you don't have to be rough with it. It's just like a very gentle like scrubbing with the brush. If they do get cradle cap, what I found worked the best was to use the Mistela shampoo that's made for it. That gets rid of it really quickly. We used it maybe like 3 times with the brush, and then I just sort of put a little bit like right onto her eyebrows, avoiding her eyes, and just made sure that like we brushed it. So I would basically just use it like with the brush and put it on her brows, and then make sure I rinsed her eye area really quickly so it wouldn't get into her eyes, and it went away. See, I'm moving through these stages of baby that's a little bit finicky. We actually woke her up because I'm still filming this, so she's a little bit upset. So you saw, I started her in the Boppy Lounger, moved her now to the Baby Bjorn Bouncer, and it's all working out for us, you guys. So I'm gonna finish this video. When it comes to the actual bath stuff, people always ask me, obviously, about what products I'm using for my babies, like what kind of skincare routine I have for them. And honestly, you guys, you don't need a lot for your babies because their skin is so like sensitive and fragile. You don't want to do too much for it. So I buy a fragrance-free shampoo and wash for my babies. Even for Nikosh now, that's all I use on him because they have sensitive skin, and like the biggest irritant usually is fragrance. Even though you want them to smell like a yummy, you know, whatever it is that you like to have your baby smell like, you probably shouldn't use fragrance on them if you can avoid it. And then afterwards, I just put fragrance-free body lotion on them, and that's pretty much it. The only other kind of products I ever use on them is like, for instance, I have like a CeraVe balm. It's like along the same lines as Aquaphor and Vaseline. It's all the same thing, essentially. I have that for like, for instance, when she got that little bit of cradle cap, I put it on her eyebrows just to keep that area a little bit more moisturized and protected because her skin was really dry and cracky in that area too. And then, you know, if you absolutely have to, you can use it like on their butts and all that kind of stuff too to protect them. And then the other thing is baby rash cream, so butt rash cream. I always use that stuff, and that's definitely a must-have for them. I've been using butt paste for a couple of years now with Nikosh. I started using that on Isla as well. And then I sometimes will use the Honest Company's organic balm too, because I really like that one as well on their butts. But for the most part, I keep it really, really simple. There's nothing fancy at all when it comes to babies, all the way up until they're like essentially teenagers. You don't have to get too fancy with their skincare products. So keep that in mind. You don't want to put too much. As far as wipes go, people ask me all the time, do you use wipes on your baby's butts? I do. There aren't that many options. I know I could be like taking wash rags with me and cleaning their butts with water and stuff like that. This is pretty much the next best thing for me. And then I give them their baths at night. So I make sure that I'm properly cleansing their little booties at night. But yeah, I use water wipes because it's basically just water with a little bit of like some kind of a citrus like extract. Next up is a play mat for your baby, or some space for like your baby to kind of do a little bit of tummy time. We start doing tummy time really like quickly with both of our babies. We did it very early on with Nikosh because we absolutely had to, because he had a little bit of a hernia. He had a herniated belly button. And so his doctor was like, you need to make him do tummy time early and often so that he can build those stomach muscles. And we went right into it with Isla because she just liked doing it. Like she kind of was doing tummy time on her own. Like, you know, you'd try to like lay her on your chest and she'd go up into like tummy time and not chill at all. We'd always be like, just chill out, let's have a little nap or something. And she just was not into it. She wanted to be up and alert right away. So our playmat came in handy very, very early on. So having a playmat is a big deal for your baby because you want to be able to have a place where you can lay them. We don't just do tummy time. Isla's very interested in like laying there and like looking at the things that are hanging off of it and stuff, and having you like talk to her and stuff. She's very, very social, and it's a great place to put them because they don't always want to be held and they don't always want to be like in a confined space. They want to be able to lay there flat, and it's not their bed, you know, like their crib and stuff. Yeah, you're smiling at me, huh? She's smiling. You guys can't see this, but she is. She's giving me a smile like, yeah, I like my playmat, Mom. And then last, you need a diaper bag. And I obviously have to do a little shout out for my diaper bag because, oh, really? Yeah, you want to start having conversations? You like my diaper bag too, huh? I obviously have to throw in my diaper bag because you do need a diaper bag. It's very nice and helpful to have a diaper bag that's going to carry all of your baby items with you, especially when you start to get out of the house, because you should get out of the house. It's good for your health, good for the baby, get a little bit of air. I created this one to be a diaper bag backpack because I felt like being hands-free was probably the most important thing when it came to the bag that I was using. It's got all the compartments that you need. It's not like an unbelievably special bag, but it's also a bag that doesn't look too much like a diaper bag also, which was a big deal to me. So being hands-free and having a bag that didn't look too much like a diaper bag essentially to me was probably the most important, and obviously could carry all of my stuff and have like a changing pad in it. So those are really the things that you need to look for in a diaper bag if you don't buy mine. And those are my newborn must-haves, you guys. I hope this was helpful. You know, I still stand by a lot of the must-haves that I had in my first video, but what I found was, as like time went on and I talked to people and suggested things and stuff, there was a theme of like what still worked for the majority of the babies that I knew, including my second one. And I found that the things that I told you in this video, those truly were the like tried and true items that people needed and used with their babies and found success with. So while I have a lot of other things that I bought for my baby and that I'm using for my baby, I wouldn't necessarily call them must-haves. Like for instance, I did go ahead and get a second stroller that I use like for walks and stuff with my baby, but is it a must-have if you've got a Doona? Absolutely not. We use the Doona way more. So that's why I didn't put it in this video, because these are truly the must-haves for me. If you have anything to add, please tell me in the comments below, or if you have any questions about these items, obviously ask me. I'm happy to answer. I'll leave links to all the items that I mentioned and maybe some of the like, you know, like other items that are similar to them. That way you guys can have some options too. And besides that, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Susan Yara. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.